Welcome to the Collab Podcast. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Devin.
On this podcast, we explore concepts of self-mastery and community collaboration
through in-depth panel discussions and intimate interviews with dance's most prominent figures.
Yeah, she my peanut butter jelly snack, pull it ride, but she painting. That's my sunshine when it's raining. That's my boo, yeah. When I'm all alone, she pulled through.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Collab Podcast. I am here with my co-host and sister, Devin, and our guest today is an aspiring entrepreneur with a love for the dance community and a flair for innovation. James Chaplin has been dancing for 19 years. During his dance career, he taught as an instructor at the Spot Dance Center in Hamilton, New York, and attended Liberal Arts College, Colgate University in Manistee County, New York, where he was director of Wolfpack Dance Crew. Acknowledging a gap among dancers, choreographers, and geographies, James is determined to bring the community together. Motivated to take action, James created and founded DownKore, an online platform for the global dance community that provides a space for dancers to show who they are down to the core. With the birth of DownKore, James is paving the way for dancers across the globe to come together and be united through his virtual resource. His hope is to create an infrastructure that supports the dance community and solves the concerns that prevent people from pursuing dance or connecting with the community. We are very excited to sit down and talk today with dancer and creator and founder of DownKore, James Chaplin. Welcome.
Yeah, hey. Welcome, James. Woohoo!
Thank you for having me. That intro, I'm so honored. Thank you. It's a blessing to be here.
Well, we actually came across you, we didn't know you before we started this podcast, and our paths crossed. And we're so glad that it did, because we would have never known about this amazing resource that you've created online. And we're going to jump into that a little bit later. But first, I want to talk to you about you as a dancer. And I mean, you've been dancing for 19 years, but you're only 22 years old. So how did that happen? How have you been dancing practically your entire life?
Yeah. So as long as I can remember, I've been dancing. I started when I was 3, and that's kind of before I even had a memory. I think my earliest memory is from when I was 4 years old. So all my life, I just remember like going to dance and it being a regular thing. And when I first started, I started in like a standard studio setting, doing ballet, jazz, tap, hip hop, all kind of in that studio setting. And that kind of stuck with me for most of my life. And when I got to high school, I actually did take a little break from dance. And that's when, or from the studio style dance. And then that's when I really started doing more of the dances that my friends were doing, like, just social dancing, a little bit more of like whatever the popular dances were at the time. When I was in school, actually, like in high school, wow, I guess I'm out of school now. I'm graduated. But like when I was, in high school, middle school, people were getting light. Like, I'm from the Hudson Valley, so not actually New York, but it was close enough where we got a lot of that influence. And so people were getting light, but I didn't like do it. And it actually wasn't like an established thing at that point in time. But that's when I started like, okay, like, everybody's doing this, so I'm going to do that too. And then when I got to college is when I really started to dig deep on choreo and making my own pieces. And I joined the team at Colgate Wolfpack. And then I started choreographing my sophomore year. And yeah, then I became the creative director of it by my junior year, and it's amazing. And here I am.
What an amazing journey. And there's so much that I want to unpack. But first, I want to congratulate you on finishing school. What an accomplishment. How does it feel to be done and have put in all of that work?
Well, it's kind of becoming more and more clear that I actually graduated. So I graduated into the pandemic, which is an experience for sure. Like, we didn't even have an actual graduation. So I got a little slideshow with my photo on it, and that was like the big applaud. But yeah, and being at home all the time doesn't really like make you feel like you're transitioning, but it feels good. Feels good for sure to say I did it and get my diploma.
Are you planning on doing anything special on your own to celebrate your graduation, especially because, you know, the pandemic prevented a traditional ceremony?
We'll consider this podcast as a celebration where I get to talk about DownKore and yeah.
Yay, we're happy to celebrate with you. James, I want to, when we first met you and we learned about your dance journey, we talked about kind of your inspiration behind DownKore, and we talked a little bit about the styles that you were exposed to, and then how you actually came to be exposed to, you know, what we're collectively calling the West Coast style. And so I want you to kind of rehash that experience for our listeners, because I found it so interesting. I think as dancers, you know, we live in our bubbles and we dance with the teams that we dance and we attend the competitions that we attend. But a lot of the times we're attending the competitions still in our bubble and we're not really exposed to, like, you know, the bigger picture of dance. And so I want you to talk about kind of your journey living in your bubble and then being exposed to kind of this bigger world.
Wow, that's such a good question. So my entire conceptualization of DownKore started because of my exposure to other communities of dance, you know, and exactly what you said, right? Like, I grew up in upstate New York and it was just this kind of bubble, right? You know, I'm close enough to New York where I can go down and see, you know, go to Broadway Dance Center, go to the big studios and like visit there a couple of times. And then with my group of friends, we dance together like that. But actually, like, what really was like, whoa, dance is global, right? All these different genres of dance, not just hip hop dance, that's global, right? Open style dance, right? That's global. Like, all of these things are global. And like this that kind of realization happened when I studied abroad. I went to Japan, and the kind of context for me going there was because I've been watching anime my entire life, and like I'm such a fan of Naruto, and like, yeah, I kind of like, you know, made excuses for like when people would ask me, why do you want to go to Japan? I'd be like, oh, you know, like I really love the culture, like, but really I just wanted to go because I love Naruto. And that's what brought me over there. Like, you know, when Colgate said they had a study abroad program to Japan, I was like, I'm going. And when I was over there, I got engaged in the dance community there, and I went to studios there. I was in Kyoto for most of the part, but I also got to visit, you know, studios in Tokyo. I went to N Dance Studio. There's actually a chain of dance studios called Ash, which is in Osaka. And I got to visit all these places, and I was like, wow, this community is thriving. And I really saw like the organization that they had within the studio and their style of education for hip hop. You know, for hip hop, like for me, it was just like, people just said they were dancing, like, in a way, right? Because it starts as a social dance and like your friends are just doing it. And so I didn't even really conceptualize it as its own genre. I just thought it was like this thing. But then I went to, you know, the studio in Kyoto, and I was like, wow, they have it all like, you know, neatly packaged, and like they're learning it in the studio. And I was like, wow, this is global. And then actually when I was over there, I got to meet with some of the members from Riehata Tokyo, and we became like really good friends. and like, I'd go to their performances, which they have like really, it's similar to like arena dance camp and body rock and those sort of things. They have it all produced. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And it really inspired me because I realized that they knew some of the people like in New York that I'd never even heard of. Like, they're like, oh, do you know this dancer and this dancer? And I'm like, no. I'm like, no. But they did. And it is like so inspiring to me. And yeah, and then I can talk a little bit more about how the idea for DownKore really manifested from that, if you want. But yeah, that's how I learned that dance is so global. And we talk about the dance community, but it is one community, but there's many different like sections of that community, right? And my sort of passion is to kind of like visit each of those communities and learn and be inspired from them. So
that's an amazing goal. And I have to ask Michelle to verify this, but I believe James is our first East Coast based guest, right? Like, you're from the East Coast. That's where you grew up. That's where you dance. So that's pretty exciting for us. And to be able to have dance connect us with you, I mean, that blows my mind. You said it best. We have one community, but then there's subgroups of that community. And I think to have dance connect us with each of those communities is a very exciting thing. I want to ask you, before we move into talking about DownKore and, what you're trying to do there, is there anything that you observed while in Japan in terms of like their dance community that you think we could benefit from in the States? Like, if we took like one lesson from them and it would just like help us improve like either our skills or just like the closeness of our community, what do you think that would be?
Wow, that's a really good question. The thing that, wow, that's a really tough question. And, I kind of actually been thinking about that question, but since I've gotten back, it's been 2 years since I've visited there. And so I like really try to unpack like what I learned from that experience. And like, it's just slowly coming to me more and more. But I think, well, I want to say this because it might be relevant or not relevant, depending on, which location you're in or what the culture of your group is. But when I danced with them, there were like a lot of times where they gave space for anyone to participate, and really paying respect to whoever they were learning from. So one of the things like that I really noticed when I went there is like before classes start, I can't speak for every place, but the places I visited, most people would sit on the floor before the class started. So when I walked in the first day, everyone was sitting on the ground and waiting for the instructor to come in. And I was like, what is this? This is a dance studio. This is a dance studio. Like, I've never seen this ever. And I don't want to like, act like I'm an expert on it, but like it has to do something with paying respect for whoever is teaching you, right? You're learning from that person who excels in their craft and paying respect to them. And I think that's really something we can really translate into our current culture of the dance community, paying respect to those who have forged the path for us and giving them due credit and such.
I just got chills.
Agreed. I mean, that's really powerful, James. And I think in general, I have an affinity for Japanese culture just because of that whole, respect aspect of it, because I think it's so beautiful and it's so powerful. And I think that now, in a time with the dance community and everything that's kind of happening, we're taking pause, with the pandemic, and we're taking a moment to say, like, hey, how can we reflect? How can we do better? And that's a great thing that we can implement. And I absolutely love that. So we should absolutely consider that. I want to transition now, James, and talk to you about your inspiration for DownKore. So we've talked about how, the community is so small because, we're intertwined so closely, but it's humongous. It's global. And your innovative idea is really to bring that big community together. So I want to talk to you and talk to us about your inspiration with this project that you're working on.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll start even a little bit before the actual inspiration for DownKore. So like when I was in college, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do after college? Like that was just like a pressing question in my mind about, okay, these 4 years are gonna end someday, and then what am I gonna do, right? And at that time, that's when like social media is blowing up about like entrepreneurship. You gotta make the most out of your life, whatever, like, those inspirational stuff. And I like really like was thinking about it during college, which I guess is a good thing. But the first kind of like point for DownKore, I guess, was I actually tried to run a blog. I think I posted like maybe 8 posts, and it was when I was studying abroad, and I was like, I'm gonna talk about my experience, just whatever I wanted, but it ended up mostly being about dance. I think like 4 out of the 8 posts were about dance, and then I don't know, I was too busy living it up abroad, so I didn't really keep it going. But towards the end of my year there, I found Sori Yang, and I found her. I knew about her before, but I found her store. Right, she came out with her own collection, and I saw what she was trying to do with that, and I was like, wow, I want some of this. Right, she's like creating her clothing to empower others, to power other dancers to be themselves. Like that's something like I need, right? And then slowly I started to realize like, other dancers that I've been looking up to are doing the same thing, right? Like Lyle had his collection, and other people had theirs too. And I was like, whoa, like, this is really a great thing for the community. Dancers need this, and I want this. So why don't I just make like one place where dancers who love dance and love these dancers can buy this apparel from people they love? And so that was the origins of that, right? I wanted to create like a site where a marketplace essentially, where people could buy from dancers. But moving forward with that, and then the pandemic, I think it's kind of changing just a tiny bit. And actually, the idea for DownKore, for what it is now as a community platform, really developed from just asking questions like the questions you're asking me, right? Like, what does the community need right now? I saw the fashion idea as like one piece of it, and that is still one central piece of this, but there's so many things that are missing from the community, right? We're all over Instagram, TikTok, whatever. You can have a video go viral, but when people stop to look at the dancer, right, they have no place to go, right? There's no place to learn about that dancer and their story, right? There's no place to really feel like involved in that dancer's life, right? Like, especially now with this pandemic and Zoom classes and stuff, you can't really feel a part of the community, right? There's no like I desperately want to get back in that studio. I desperately want to get back in the jams, the battles, right? But like we can't because of what's happening right now. So I want DownKore to be a place where people can really feel connected to other dancers, to the community, to the studio, to the world of dance, so that people can feel connected and a part of the community wherever they are. And I came up with the concept of the core when the pandemic hit, and I think it's a really good sticking point.
So much of what we describe dance as is being able to express ourselves, right? And we often associate that with movement, but then you touched on the point of like expressing ourselves through our clothing. We enjoy nice clothes, right? We enjoy being able to wear creations from other dancers. And I think what I find so inspiring is that you said, well, that's one need of the dance community, but what else does the dance community need? I'm getting excited just listening to what you envision for DownKore. It's amazing. And I think beyond, when we do get past the pandemic, I think DownKore is going to be able to connect us in ways that we haven't really been able to be connected in before. I mean, you're here describing your experience in Japan, but what if DownKore was like the place that people could go to, if they aren't able to like take a class in Japan, but they can go there and connect with their favorite dancers, right? And learn more about the culture over there. It's just phenomenal.
That's what we're going for.
Well, and the other part that I really think is brilliant is that it's making it a platform where dancers can connect with people that inspire them, because oftentimes, and I know that I've done it, and we've actually talked about this on previous episodes, we have dancers that we really look up to, and and we get sort of like fangirl when we think about them, or we get close to them, and it makes them not as relatable. Like it seems so far-fetched, but DownKore is really just kind of like leveling the playing field and saying like, you come as you are, we're dancers, and you connect with each other. And I really love that, because I think that a lot of times we're paralyzed by, wanting to pursue seeking after our inspiration and our motivation, because, we get nervous. And so that's really a great aspect of it. And I really, really love that. Talk to us about because it's one thing to say like, I really love something, right? Like I really love cupcakes. I'm going to open up a cupcake store, right? It's one thing to think it, but then to actually go and do it. I want to hear about your motivation and your process, because you had this great idea to say, okay, cool. I recognize that there are gaps, but you also could have just turned around and been like, I'm going to watch anime for the rest of the day. Right. But you didn't. But you didn't. And you actually took action.
Tyson, the final season of Attack on Titan, it's been such a distraction right now.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I am so with you there. Actually, I've been talking about it with my brother, and every time he walks by, he's like, Eren Yeager. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's completely understandable. If you had to take a little bit of a break here and there from working, I think that's entirely understandable.
Yeah, but not to go on a tangent, but like, honestly, like, all right, one, there's like the connection between anime and the dance community. I feel like so many dancers love anime, but also like legit, kid you not, if I had not watched anime from the time I was a kid to now, like I wouldn't be working on this. Like a huge piece of my like inspiration from this came from my anime list. I'm not sure if you know that site, but it's kind of like a database for anime, and I've been using that site as like a key reference for what I'm creating now. That's a side note, but so.
Well, and not to get like super sidetracked, I feel like I'm still kind of new to the anime territory. I've only been watching like animes for a couple years now, like maybe 5-6 years. But is there like an anime that depicts like the dance community? I don't think there is. Right?
No, we need
So
one.
James, you need to get on that.
All right, like one step at a time. But like, yeah, we need we need to make one. Me and my friends have been talking about that for so long. Like, you could really do, like, people want that. Like, we have.
I do. Yeah, I want that. It would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we've trademarked the idea here on the Collab podcast, so nobody's allowed to take it from us. But James, yeah, I joked about it, and I'm glad to hear that it definitely played a part in your inspiration. But I would really love to hear about your motivation and kind of like, just kind of your day to day. Like, how do you motivate yourself to keep with it and not just completely say, I've done enough? Because it really is, you're pioneering the way to bring the community together. And it really is just amazing.
I love it. Wow. I love it. Like, it's hard to answer this because like, there's many whys. Like, throughout my life, like, I've had my ups and downs with dance, right? Like, in terms of my own life, like I took a break with dance for reasons, right? I don't have to go into details, but like every step of the way in my life, I kind of realized that like dance has been so pivotal to me in like so many different ways, from like the friends I made to like the communities I've been a part of, building my own confidence, to, really like taking me like to different countries, meeting new friends, meeting new people. And it's I just love it. And for I'm like, yeah, I just love it.
That's it. That's the show. We're done.
I mean, like,
you can't really explain.
Yeah, exactly. As dancers, we express ourselves through movement. So and as we said, through many other different creative outlets. And then when asked such an open-ended question, it's just like simply because we love it. It makes us feel good.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a great answer, James, because it really is so relatable, especially in the dance community. We really do. I mean, a lot of the drive for what we do as dancers is because we love it. And I think that was, the perfect answer. And certainly there's no right or wrong answer, but that was really the perfect answer.
Yeah. And it's like, you can compare it to other things you love, right? Like you love your family. And so what do you do for your family? You support them, you provide, you help them. And that's, how I feel about the dance community. And yeah.
Yeah, I think we can definitely relate to that that sentiment of just wanting to give back to the community that has given us so much over the course of our dance journey. So, James, I want to ask you if you could walk us through the user experience of DownKore. Like what is that first like? Someone hears about DownKore, and so they hop on, they go online, and what are they going to see, and what can they expect from DownKore?
Yeah, definitely. So we're actually in the process of building, like a whole new interface for this. It's going to take some time to build, but like we have it all kind of mapped out, and the way it's going to be so immersive that you're really going to get like the in studio feeling from just being on the website. And one piece of this is really like taking observation of our habits around dance and dance video, right? So whenever I watch like a 1 million dance video, I don't watch one video. I watch like 100. You're just sucked into that rabbit hole of like, whoa, I gotta learn this. I gotta see everything, and so you just go down it. So the idea is to use that video as the bridging aspect of the entire website. So it's really going to combine like a YouTube-ish kind of experience of the dance video while being able to really get a feel for whichever page you're on. Whether you're on a dancer's page, you really can feel connected to them because you're going to have all their information there. But you can also like, everything's interactive, right? So you can see what studio they're dancing at. We're currently building studio pages for people we've been in touch with, trying to create like a Facebook or a LinkedIn kind of home setting for each location. And I know like right now it's kind of hard because studios are shut down, but like, when they start back up again, because they definitely will, it'll have like a homepage for them. And it's like you can navigate through the community through the video platform that we're building. That kind of sums it up. You're not really going to get the idea until you see it, until we launch it, but that's where it's going. And it also combines this e-commerce feature for the core store within that platform as well.
Devin and I had an opportunity, and thank you, James, for giving us sort of an exclusive. We had the opportunity to actually, kind of see the skin and bones of DownKore, and it really is exactly like you described it. It really is an immersive experience, and I love that because the pandemic has kind of set us up to be very cautious moving forward, and so the idea of like actually being able to go to studios. I mean, yes, one day they will reopen again, but that seems so far from now because everyone's sort of going back into the community very cautiously. So to be able to have something that we can rely on in this time, or even in future times, if this ever happens again, which I hope it doesn't, but in times where maybe the community can't actually be physical together, this would be a great resource for that.
For sure. Actually, real quick, I want to touch on something you said earlier, Michelle. When you said, I can't remember exactly, but when you said like opening it up so people can, see everything, right? You can go to different communities. Part of this idea is also, the democratization of the dance community, right? There is an aspect to this where if you, can afford to live in LA, if you've been, brought up in that ecosystem where, you can go to the top studios and get, a videographer to shoot you, right? You're automatically like, you're just in a position where like you can get your brand out there. And that's why people make that move to either New York or LA. But literally there's phenomenal dancers in every single city around the world. Like better than you can even conceive because they have such a unique style and they have a different dance form than you do, right? But there's so many beautiful dancers out there, and like really by creating this online space, it's going to give people, who don't have the access to, make it to LA, they don't have the funds to move to New York to really, be a part of the community as well, and be recognized for the value that they bring as an artist and a dancer too.
Oh, that's so exciting. It's so exciting to hear you talk about it and really see like just through you saying and describing what you would like to see to happen to like for me to imagine and see it happening. like the gap being closed and seeing the dance community become closer and closer and closer. I know that we've talked a little bit about your motivation for DownKore, but I'd also like to ask if there was anyone during your dance journey that you like felt kind of influenced your decision to start such an ambitious project. Like, is there anyone that you want to kind of shout out in terms of like mentors or teachers that have just helped you become this amazing entrepreneur sitting before us?
Yeah, well, I definitely want to. We've never met in person, but Sora Yang, just seeing her efforts and what she's doing, bringing her past experience in business and, you know, what she studied, like, to the dance community and providing micro grants to people, like that's you know, that's beautiful to me, like, and to pursue that, like, not only in her craft, like, you know, the message behind her work is really inspirational, but also, you know, just her activism, her you know, ventures that help the community. I really look up to that. And another person would be, her dancer name is Aspi, but her real name's Asuka. She's on Rie Hata Tokyo. She's like the first dance class I took in Japan. And like, it was funny because like there was all these short little girls and then there was me like up here, and I'm not even that tall. I'm like 5'10", but like that height difference, like, I just stuck out like a sore thumb. And like, she just made me feel like so welcomed in that moment, and her class and everything was just so welcoming, and I really cherish that as well. I'm trying to think from like an artistic standpoint, like for like my style. Big fan of the Criminals crew in France with the Twins and Boo Boo and Wadey, like those guys, like just the raw energy, like the rawness of their being, and seeing just how unabashedly like loving they are of themselves to be able to just do whatever they want. Like, I love that so much. Yeah, and the list goes on, but
That's a really good list. Absolutely. Those are some incredible human beings and incredible dancers. And you're right. And I want to go back to what you were saying, James, about people not necessarily having access to, you know, go to LA or the West Coast. But, you know, there are even some dancers that we've met along our dance journey that have decided that that is not the path for them, but they're still incredible dancers and they still want to give back to the community. So I think DownKore, exactly like you were saying, it's just a great way to, you know, to bring light to amazing talent that, you know, maybe just doesn't want to pursue it, or like you said, doesn't have the access to it. So, I mean, Devin and I, after we talked to you the first time, we couldn't stop gushing about the idea of DownKore, because it really just is so innovative, and it's exactly what the community needs. And it's just, you know, it's one of those things when you hear about it, you're like, shh, why didn't I think of that? You know, like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And so we can't stop gushing about it. And we're just so excited to have you on the show today to talk about it. Is there anything else that you want to share in particular about DownKore? I think you're looking to expand your team, right?
Yes, definitely. I need so much help on this. You know, I'm only one person, and I am working with other people. We're actually collaborating with, we have a fashion designer that we're collaborating with now. Her name is Carolina Dalfo. She's worked with Robert Geller in Opening Ceremony in New York. So we're working together to collab to produce our launch collection for the core store. And I've also been working with Camille Wise. She's part of the UC Berkeley dance community. She's a graphic designer, and she's helped make websites for Prelude competitions and other things in the dance community. And then there's other people that have been involved in various different ways. But currently, we're looking to recruit a very experienced web developer for the community platform that I've been talking about. And so that posting will be on Angel's List by the time this this podcast is released. And so you can either reach out to me or find the posting on Angel's List or wherever. And but we really need someone with hardcore skills, like full stack kind of capabilities.
Yeah, we'll be sure to put your contact info and links to where everyone can find you if they know someone or if they are that someone.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, James, this is the part of the podcast where we actually kind of turn it a little bit sideways, and it gives our listeners a chance to get to know James Chaplin. On Instagram, you're Jimmy James J, right? Did I get that right? That handle right?
James Jimmy J.
James Jimmy J. Shoot. I looked at it right before we started recording too. Okay. But yeah, it's just an opportunity for listeners to get to know the real you. So Devin's going to go through a list of rapid fire questions. The goal is to answer as quickly as possible and get through as many as possible. Are you ready?
Nope, but let's do it.
All right, let me set my timer. All right, we're going to set the timer for 45 seconds. We usually go over. I like to cheat a little bit because I have so much fun with this. But Devin, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, James, here we go. Set, go.
Choreo or freestyle?
Oh man, wow. Half.
You have 4 extra hours in your day. What do you do with them?
Ooh, work on DownKore and freestyle to a random song that I just found that I like.
If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Right now, I'd probably go back to Japan and then visit Korea. Been watching some
Student? Oh, that's nice. Student or teacher?
Oh, student all day. Teachers are students.
One word to describe your dance style.
Oh, wiggly.
Time.
Oh, I was going to ask one more.
Yeah.
Your all-time favorite anime, I think you already said earlier.
Oh, Naruto for sure. But this final season of Attack on Titan is really getting to me. Like,
it's hard to believe that they're squeezing it all in like just one more season. I think it could have been like 5 or 6 seasons. 4
right?
seems like a little rushed.
Yeah. But I'm really, the fight scenes are kind of living up to it though.
I always cheat a little bit, James, and I always ask an extra question after time is up. But you were saying during the rapid fire, in your extra time, if you had it, you would freestyle to your favorite song that you just found. What is it? What's the favorite song that you just found?
Right now, it's a Remy Wolf song. Oh my God, Monte Carlo. You guys know it? Oh, you gotta listen to it. It's so good. It's just like, I played it at least 50 times by now. So
I'm gonna look it up. I love it.
Actually, I think when you asked me to record the promo vid for this video, I think I had it playing in the background. So.
Nice. I love it.
Okay. I feel like I have to ask because it's so awesome to like meet other people who love anime. I have to ask, what else are you watching right now aside from Attack on Titan?
Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen. What else am I watching right now? So I'm late to the bandwagon, but One Piece. I think what?
I heard that was good.
One Piece.
I heard that was really good. Yeah.
I just got past they just entered the Grand Line. I think I'm on some fillers before they get to the Grand Line. Yeah. Yeah, I binge watched Vinland Saga, Fire Force. I'm on season 2. Not really feeling season 2.
That's the one, they're the firefighters, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking? Oh, okay.
And he actually uses breaking moves, which is
No way. That's awesome.
you're on fire. It's like it's a good mid tier.
Yeah, something to watch while you're waiting for like the other episodes to update on your other shows.
Yeah.
I don't watch anime, but the only link I have to anime is for Christmas. I bought myself this Sanrio surprise mystery snack box. And it had this thing called Boruto biscuits in it. Who's Boruto? Does anyone know who that is? I don't know who that is.
Well, the way you said his name is really living up to the hype of the show.
Is it really? No, I said it wrong.
But it's called Boruto. But
Boruto. Okay. My Japanese. I need to go to Japan.
Well, you don't need to know. Well, okay. Like Boruto is Naruto's son. But it ain't it. Like it's not living up to the hype at all.
We could probably take a pass on that one.
Yeah.
But the biscuits that I got in my snack box were delicious, and I had to Google them, and they're sold out everywhere. But that's the only connection I have to anime.
Well, that, and I thought you were going to say that you bought me that My Hero Academia shirt. It was like a My Hero and Sanrio mashup, and it has Bad Bats, Maru, and Bakugo like standing next to each other. It's one of my favorite shirts. It's in the laundry right now because I probably wore it earlier this week.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, I'm learning more and more every day. So, James, you seem incredibly disappointed that those biscuits were my favorite thing in the box.
Well, I don't know about the biscuits, but I'm sure disappointed in Naruto's son.
Well, aside from, watching some other really good animes and working on DownKore, talk to us a little bit about what your daily routine is right now during quarantine, and if you're doing anything to kind of keep up with just like the creative juices of dance.
Yeah. So right now, well, it's been weird because of this kind of thing and pandemic, whatnot. But I just we were talking about this before, but I just Marie Kondoed my room, which feels really good. So it's been a lot of cleaning on the daily, but now that it's tidied up, hopefully there won't be too much more. Yeah, my daily routine really consists of waking up. I work on DownKore in the morning. I do have a part-time work right now, but I work on DownKore in the mornings, and then when I get home from work, every day. And then the weekends, like today, I'd be probably utilizing that time as well. To stay inspired, it's honestly been a struggle. I'm not gonna like front for you. Like it's a struggle to like, not be able to see other dancers in real life and like gain inspiration. Like that's such an experience to like see somebody doing something and then you copy that. Like we're socialized to do this. So not having that is hard. But I went to the first session last week. It's on Saturdays, but Mr. YouTube, shout out to Mr. YouTube. He's doing sessions. He calls it the Lighthouse, And just the format of the way he sets up that class, and it's a digital Zoom course. It's like, you learn choreo for the first half, and then the other half is a session, like people just freestyling. And maybe that's why I said like half during the rapid fire, but like he really sets it up so you learn some choreo, you learn some new moves, whatever, and then like you have the opportunity to still like feel a community space virtually. And that's I want to attend that again, because that really is what I needed last week, needed this week, but I'm here. And no, I'm just kidding. I need this too. But yeah, but Mr. YouTube's the Lighthouse has really inspired me.
That's a great answer. I love that. Well, James, everything that's happening with the pandemic, and we are living in a virtual world. It's really hard to connect with people, but we always wrap each episode by asking our guests what's good in the dance community right now. So we'd love to hear your opinion. I know that Devin and I have our answer, which is DownKore, but we want to hear your answer on what you think is good in the dance community right now.
What is good? I had an answer for this that I forgot. There's a lot of good. A lot of things that could be improved, but there's a lot of good. I really like in response to what's happening with, a lot of the political climate, a lot of the issues that have been there, but have finally been kind of exposed with racism and the other issues that are happening in the dance community. I really feel like there's a lot of organization, a lot of voices that are speaking up and addressing those issues that really needed to be addressed a while ago, that people are really mobilizing to combat that. And that's much needed. And thank you to those people who are doing the work right now. We need you, and DownKore needs you, right? Like everybody needs you. So that's good. Another thing that's good is that being virtual, it kind of gives me time. It gives a lot of people time, I think, to like really process dance. And like, I'm actually so grateful for this time, even though, it's, I know it's, a lot of people have died, a lot of people are struggling, and like, I don't want to diminish any of that, but like, it's given a lot of people time to think about dance, think about their career moves, think about what dance means to them. If you can't go out and dance, you're really thinking like, well, is this for me again? Like, once this starts up, I'm going to go back. Some people are actually thinking, like, processing that. And I really think, this time has it's allowed me to work on DownKore. It's allowed me to think deeper, ask these deeper questions about dance and what it means to me, and allow me to think about what I can do for the community. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I mean, I'm going to pass it over to Devin in a second before we wrap, but I feel so grateful and privileged that our paths have crossed and you've now become a part of our journey. I think it's really amazing the work that you're doing, and this is certainly not the last time that we want to talk to you. And I'm so glad that you're part of our lives now, James, and thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast.
No, thank you for inviting me. It was such a kind of like, I saw something on social media, and then I saw Devin, and I was like, oh, I got to reach out to you guys. Like, I just want to like let you guys know, because, you know, I see what you're doing in the community. I'm like, wow, this is like, you know, very helpful. Like I'm listening to these episodes and like I'm learning so much from them. And like, I just wanted to share like with you guys about something that I'm doing as well. So yeah, I'd be so down to come back anytime, and or just to, you know, check in, whatever. So yeah, thank you so much. It was such an honor to be here. Let's dance.
Please don't bring your friends.
Thank you so much for listening to the Collab podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by leaving a review on iTunes.
And be sure to subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcast.
The conversation continues over on Instagram and YouTube with highlights from today's episode.
When you on the way, make that move. Can't stay dead, no, that's my boo. Yeah, that's boo.